It's Hope at Crafty Hope and welcome. Today I think I'm going to work on a jewelry design using some tin. This had been you can see it's super shiny, a tin container, some kind of tall, can't remember if it was square or round. I'm thinking round because it doesn't have any creases. But it's got these very decorative elements in fleur-de-lis on it. And since we are getting very close to Mardi Gras time, in fact, yeah, it's begun. The bowls in my area have begun. I thought I'd make something Mardi Gras inspired, and I've been going through a bunch of my old, I mean, I'm talking real old magazines, like 20 years old magazines, and getting inspired and getting rid of some of them, but going through them first and making sure that they don't have something I needed to learn or hold on to. But for now, I'm going to get to this. I think I'm making a bracelet design, and I'm going to cut out just probably one of these sections down here that's already sectioned out and cut it down. I'm going to talk you through all of this and speed it up. The parts you don't need to see are repetitive, and this may or may not work. We're going to find out. Here we go. I start by grabbing my favorite tin snips and snipping this down. I'm going to only cut off the fleur-de-lis, and I want to go ahead and tell y'all that the only reason I mentioned the magazines a second ago is because some of those old magazines inspired this bracelet design. There was something in one of them that was like, ooh, I wonder if I can do that in tin. And I think that was some two-hole beads or something that were in there, and I was like, oh my gosh, I bet I could do that in tin. So that's why I mentioned the magazines, y'all. I'm so scatterbrained sometimes. So I cut across the top of that strip, and now I am cutting that jaggedy edge off the bottom. So, and I'm being super careful. I do advise you, if you work with tin, maybe wear some gloves, y'all. I know what my safety precautions should be, but because I do this all the time, sometimes I just don't grab what I need to be safe. So do as I say, maybe. I do have gloves and I use them from time to time, but I have such tiny hands that I have a hard time finding small gloves that will work on my, so that I'm not becoming more dangerous with the floppiness at the end of my fingers. So I'm not measuring these at all. Basically, these have like a diamond pattern, and I'm kind of using that pattern as my guide for cutting out these. Now you can see here I cut out 5. I ended up cutting out a 6th one of these pieces. So the next thing I'm doing is I am just doing a little snip off of the corners so that they are not so pokey. I'm just kind of rounding them, not even rounding, just getting that corner off, and it's the tiniest little snip off of it. And I won't make you watch me do all of these. And that one, trimming these down to as needed if my cuts weren't super straight or whatever. Now the next thing I'm going to do is file and sand this. I am using, these are just big sanding blocks from the Dollar Tree, and I start with the coarsest one, which this one is a medium to coarse, I believe, and the next one is like a fine to medium. So I do all the edges there, and I'm going to go ahead, now I move down to the next one, like I said, is a medium to fine one. And I'm getting the edges, and I'm also going to go ahead and sand the back of these as well, because I know I want to add a patina to these and take off some of that super shiny shine. So I will just sand this. As I'm sanding it, I realize that this tin is not flat, so I'm going to pull out my bench block here and just a hammer real quick and pound that real quick just to make sure it is nice and flat and even. And I will do that with all of these. Now once I use this medium to fine grit sanding block, I will pull in some, this is like 0.0000 steel wool. Oh my gosh, I couldn't come up with that word. And I love the steel wool. I'm sorry that the focus keeps going out, but that makes all the edges so buttery. So I did that to all 6 of my tins. And now I'm pulling in some Novocaine black and a crummy paintbrush on top of a paper towel, and I'm darkening the backs as well as the front part that are exposed, because a little bit of the edges when in the sanding, gets exposed. And again, I should be wearing gloves to do this. I'm doing my best to make sure I don't get much of that on my fingers. And once I get all of those done, I'm going to go ahead and punch some holes in there. I'm going to, two of these are only going to get 3 holes, and then the rest of them are going to get 4 holes. So I have a 1.5 millimeter hole punch there. I am sorry I am out of frame, but you will see these when they come back in. This works just like a paper hole punch, but on metal. So, like I said, that first one just got 1 hole on one side and 2 holes on the other side. And then this one is getting 2 holes on each side. So, and again, I'm using the lines from that diamond shape as my guide. So, and just punching these holes. Once they are punched, I do come back in with my hammer and my bench block again to hammer down those holes flat so there's no sharp edges. Super simple. And the hole punching could have been done before I did the patinaing. That doesn't really matter. And now with my steel wool, again, I am going to push back a little bit of that patina so it's not so dark. This just exposes a little bit more of that silver so that it doesn't seem so grungy. And then to seal that patina, I'm using, this is SD Johnson paste wax. It is a little stinky, but all I'm using is an old t-shirt and rubbing on this paste and putting the pieces aside. Once I get all of them coated with the paste, I'll buff it off with a clean piece of t-shirt. So this is a grungy one that I use just with the paste wax. And all this does is seal the patina in and keep your tin from rusting. Now, it's not foolproof, but it is at least a measure to seal it. And I like to have that extra layer of security when it comes to the jewelry that I make. So, yeah, this is just me buffing each and every one of them, getting any of that excess paste wax off all of my little tin fleur-de-lis. And now I have some eye pins. These are a gunmetal color, and I'm going to work basically in batches here and put all of these purple beads on eye pins. Now, like I said, I'm doing a Mardi Gras theme. I am from Mobile, Alabama, which is the birthplace of Mardi Gras in the United States. No, it's not New Orleans, it's Mobile. And our Mardi Gras colors are simply purple and gold, not that green that you'll see often with other Mardi Gras themed things. It's hard for us to find just the purple and gold, but the city's Mardi Gras colors are just the purple and gold, so that's what I'm using. All right, so once I have those all on there, I am basically just going to bend these wires. I'm going through and right above the bead, I'm bending them. Some people use pliers to make that bend right over the bead. I find it easier just to do it. Once they're all bent, I will go through with my wire cutters and cut them. Like I said, for me, it's easier to work in batches when I do something like this that's repetitive, because then I'm just using one tool and doing the same thing over and over again, and it feels a little more consistent. Now with round nose pliers, I'm forming a simple loop. I'll put a tutorial up in the upper right on how to make simple loops, but you're just basically wrapping that little bit of wire around your pliers to make a loop. And again, I'm just doing this with all of them. I'm trying to make sure that both of the loops face the same direction as well when I do this. And now with chain nose pliers, I will open one of the loops, slip on a bead, and close that loop. And then I will do the same thing. I do have a mistake here in a little bit, and I kept it in here so you can see how this worked out. But I'm putting these on here, and then I'm opening the other side and slipping on the next piece of tin. When I put the next bead on, I end up going from the wrong direction to slip my bead on, and that makes this a little bit wonky. Now this is fiddly to get the second bead on there. Let's see, that was not sitting right, and so I messed with this and tried to twist things and move things, and it's just not right, so I took it off, turned my tin around the way it needed to be. Yeah, so I'm taking them all off. so that I can get it just right, making sure those holes are all pointing in the right direction, and then putting it back on there just the way it should be. So this can take some fiddling. Just like I said, when you open it, try to make sure your tin is facing in the direction it needs to be so that it lies flat. This net bracelet, when it comes together, fits beautifully. So I repeated that all the way down, got all of those 6 pieces connected, and then I am adding a bead on either end of this just to give it the length I want. A piece of chain or something like that would work just as fine if you don't have enough beads. But I'm just going to connect these on either end and then add a jump ring and a lobster clasp, and that will be it. And with both of these, I am just adding them using I don't even think I use a jump ring on the clasp. I just put it on that simple loop of the bead. And this is a beautiful bracelet. I hope you enjoyed watching this process. No, I did use a jump ring. Okay, I couldn't remember. You can leave it out if you wanted. So this was a super simple project. I know it seems like there's a lot of steps, but this bracelet wears really beautifully. It sits nicely, and I hope you like it. It could fit any theme. It doesn't have to be Mardi Gras, and I can't wait to make some more of these. All right, guys, let me know what you think. If you have any questions, if you do like it, make sure to give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button, and I will see y'all real soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.